Joined now by good buddy Victor Cruz, Super Bowl champion. Victor Cruz had a short 6-year stint with the Giants. Injuries got a little bit the best of him, but he was iconic. He was memorable. Went 99 against the Jets and then won a Super Bowl later that year. Victor Cruz joins us here on WFAN. Vic, what's happening, my friend?
What's going on, guys? Good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's great to hear from you as well. This Fan of the Year contest, you've done this, I think, for the last couple of years with Captain Morgan. Tell us a little bit about this, because this is cool, man. Submission goes through the early part of October, but anybody over 21, obviously, because it's Captain Morgan can apply. But how does this work, Vic?
Yeah, so a fan, obviously, now through October 3rd, fans that are 21 and older, like you said, can nominate themselves or any other deserving fan for consideration of becoming the Fan of the Year. You can just head on over to NFL.com/fan of the year. But you have to tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're such a great fan, why you drove an umpteen amount of hours to go visit your team, why is it so special to you. Like, we want to hear all those things and what makes you the Fan of the Year. But this thing's pretty cool, man. This is my second year doing it, and just to see the fans and, like, to really meet them and the depths and the lengths that they go for their teams is pretty insane, man. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, do you think, I think nowadays, because of where, say, the Raiders have moved to, even the Rams now and the Chargers, like, those become destination points for fans if they want to take a trip. I know BT, who's not in today, Vic, he has a jet trip going out to Vegas with a bunch of fans because that's where you want to go nowadays. I mean, these new locations make it easier to want to travel to visit the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you see, obviously, places like Las Vegas, obviously 2 LA teams now, like beautiful new stadiums. Like, fans are excited about going to these stadiums, whether you're a fan of the teams or not, or especially if your team is playing there, you want to go experience that for yourself. So it's, the NFL, sometimes they get it right. Yeah, no, they do get it right, especially when it comes to the fans. I mean, there's a reason that they just keep growing. Vic, you won a Super Bowl back in 2011, and everybody remembers how that season went down. And the Patriots, again, you weren't on the first team, but you were on the second one. The pressures of playing in this city and winning in this city, how do you manage and manipulate it? Because we're starting to see it get a little bit harder for some of these young players to, crack through, to gain the acceptance. How do you do that most easily? I mean, I don't know if easy is a word that we can use to correlate with that, but I think it's, the biggest thing for me was we had great leadership, man. Like, we had Justin Tuck, we had Eli Manning, we had guys that had been through it and guys that understood exactly, how to navigate this city even before I even got there. So, just, watching them, watching how they navigate this town, and then understanding that, like, there's always the next week, right? There's always the next game. You're only as good as your last game. You want to continue to win and continue to put your best foot forward. But, if you lost today and the fans hated you and they didn't like you and they're booing you at the stadium, you knew you could, get back at them or get back up to that the next week. You can avenge that the next week to the fans and then have them screaming and yelling your name and being excited for touchdowns and when you win. So just as much as they hate you, they're going to love you too. So it's about being strong and strong-minded and fighting through the punches, so to speak.
Yeah, we're talking to Victor Cruz here, who is with the NFL Fan of the Year contest and Captain Morgan. You can go check it out, NFL.com/fan of the year. All the details are there. But, Vic, you had the benefit of having a quarterback who's going to be a Hall of Famer. If that hadn't been the case, so say you're in the situation with the Giants, I guess, and the Jets are now in, where there's quarterback uncertainty, does that make it significantly harder?
For sure. I think especially for me, not only as a teammate and just trying to navigate, especially in a town like New York City, but also as a receiver that's just trying to go out there and put his best foot forward and make his mark and make his impression on the NFL and on his football team. It's a little bit difficult to do that if there's some uncertainty or if the quarterback doesn't feel secure in his position. You just don't know how he's going to play or how he's going to react to that. So, yeah, having some security at that quarterback level in that position was very beneficial for us. But it could be difficult. We see teams struggle with it, all around the league. Yeah,
and you see it now because there's so much of an urgency to get that guy to make a decision on him, right? You need to know, is he my guy or is he not your guy? When you look at Daniel Jones, who's had some success, he's had some failures, lots of turnovers over his first 3 seasons. How do you see this playing out with him? Because it's not very clear. Now, it's a new regime. They don't own him. They don't owe him anything. But it's not clear, like, the path for Daniel Jones. How do you handle that?
Well, I think he has to figure out a way to make it clear. I think as a football player, what you want is to have the opportunity right there before you for you to go out and grasp it. And I think that's where he's at right now. And I think he understands that. He understands how big this is, the biggest year of his career to date. And I think he understands that, and he wants to be prepared for it, and he wants to go out there and put his best foot forward. But I think he has to leave us with no doubt at the end of this year that he's the guy, whether that's making plays, whether that's making a Pro Bowl, whether that's giving his team, winning the NFC East, like whatever that looks like for him or for that football team to define success for Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
he has to come through and fulfill that.
Yeah, do you think that happens? Because I want to believe it happens, but I just can't get there. You know what I mean? Do you think it happens?
I think it does. I think I think there's enough pieces around him now. I think there's enough stability. I think there's still some gelling that has to take place at the offensive line, but I think there's some stability there that they haven't really had before. And I think that I think he can go out there and make some noise. And I think all his, Saquon coming back, he looks like he's got some pop and some energy left in his body and his form. So I think with the receiving core that they've developed, with Galladay kind of leading the charge there, I think they got some pieces to really do some things. It's just a matter of getting everybody on the same page and catching the football and making things happen.
Yeah, it used to be, Vic, and you remember this because the guys that were on your team in the backfield, Ahmad, Bradshaw, and Brandon Jacobs. It used to be run first all the time, especially in New York. It gets cold in November, December. Really not anymore. It doesn't get cold ever until like August. I mean, until April anymore. But it used to be all run game, and then the pass game was predicated off of that. Today's game is different, man. It's wide open, and especially with Coach Daboll coming from Buffalo, where they were 11 personnel all day long, and your tight end is even a pretty good wide receiver. Is today's game more suited for guys like you who were smaller wide receivers but could find space, right? Contact is legislated out of the game, so you don't have to worry about getting your head knocked off anymore, right? The game is suited for guys like you, and I say that because you look at who the Giants, have drafted over the last. Wan'Dale Robinson's small, Kenny Galladay's small. You think you would have thrived in this type of offense that now has taken over the game?
Yeah, I would have loved to get 11, 12, 13 targets a game. You know what I mean? Like, I would have thoroughly enjoyed that. But the thing with us was I enjoyed the run and blocking for the run because we knew it opened up the pass. That's why Eli was so great on the play-action pass, because you had to honor that run game. And then we had big play after big play after big play that year that we went on to the Super Bowl. So, but now everything's spread out. You can just go out there and run your routes and feel clean, and whether it's zone or man, you feel optimistic about your chances and making big plays. So, yeah, man, I would have loved to play in this thing, man. Get 13 targets a game. Who knows how many yards. It would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, Victor Cruz here for the NFL Fan of the Year contest, NFL.com/Fan of the Year. We got to let you go here in a second, Vic, but you had a 99-yard touchdown. I remember watching this. I wasn't at the game, but I was watching it on TV. It was just a hitch or something like that. It was simple. Take us through that play. It was against the Jets. The Giants and the Jets are playing this weekend. That was a regular season game, though. We usually only played the Jets in the preseason, but this was a regular season game. Take us through that play.
Yeah, it was I was lined up in the slot, and it was a simple hook route, kind of 8 to 10 yards, and you hook down. You hook to the outside, rather, and Eli was going through his progression. He saw me late, threw the ball to me, and I kind of knew before I turned out, I saw where that other corner was. So once I caught the ball and I saw the nickel kind of go underneath me and he attempted the interception, I knew there was just one guy left, and I made a move on him, and then it was off to the races, man. And I had too much family in that stadium to let myself get caught by anybody going up that sideline. So I had to take it to the house. But it's still crazy to this day to think I have a 99-yard touchdown.
I mean, it's a record, right? It's the record. You can't be anything more than that. I always wanted a 99-yard run. I got 95. I didn't quite get there, but
there you go. A lot of guys don't have that.
Yeah, it's true. But that's I mean, that lives with you forever. And then obviously the salsa and the flair that you showed. You were a legend, Vic. Even though your career was short, everybody loves you, bro, and I appreciate you hopping on for a little bit to talk about the Giants and obviously the NFL Fan of the Year contest. Good luck to you, my friend.
No problem at all, man. An absolute pleasure.
Be good. Victor Cruz, Giant Super Bowl champion, NFL Fan of the Year contest. The NFL does a good job with this. They reward these guys or the winner of this Fan of the Year contest because they get, they have that NFL honors thing where you talk to you have the players of the year and the coaches of the year and all those things. The Fan of the Year actually gets announced there. It's a primetime special, and then they are out in Arizona this year. The Super Bowl is out in Phoenix, Arizona, so you get tickets to the Super Bowl as well. It's a good deal for Victor Cruz to be involved with that. Always been a fan of Vic, just because he was one of those overachievers. Rookie year, didn't play a ton, really not at all, and then kind of out of nowhere became one of Eli's best wide receivers. Maybe one of his best in Eli's tenure. I know Plaxico had the championship, but I'm just talking about from a yard standpoint. Victor Cruz had a 1,500-yard season, I think it was. I mean, he had a ton of yards in one of these seasons, a ton of catches in one of these years. So Vic was the man for a year or two with the Giants. Yeah, Jackson's telling me 1,536 and 9 touchdowns for a guy who nobody expected to be as good as he turned out to be. Vic was a stud, and he got a Super Bowl ring, which makes it all the more fulfilling for his career. All right, back to this Giants, the current Giants. I mean, obviously there's a lot of talk about the quarterback, and I know we're going to get a lot of calls on this because there is the option, just like with the Jets, with Zach Wilson being banged up and right now, and Joe Flacco's likely to be the day one starter, game one starter. The same conversation is happening around the Giants. I think the difference is that, at least what the Giants don't want to happen, is there to be a quarterback controversy.